There we go. Hey, everyone. My name's Ray Hewart, and I'm currently with new author Hans Appel. Hans, I'm so excited that we are live because we are celebrating something that is all about you.
I am even more excited than you, actually. Let's be real here.
I don't think
This
that's
is huge.
possible. This is so huge. And I was excited learning because I got to hear about award-winning culture, obviously just being your friend and being connected to you as you went through this amazing book we get to talk about. But I also got to listen to Chad and Megan talk about you on camera yesterday. This is the big one, though. The author is live talking about the brand new book that is coming out on Friday. Before we get into the big news, the book launching on Friday, will you tell us a little about yourself just as an educator?
Well, first of all, I'm going to change the rules because everybody always starts with their titles when they start answering that kind of question. So I'm going to tell you my why first. Ooh. And here it is. I believe that education at its highest level is about inspiring others to discover and develop their joy. So you got to keep that in mind as we're talking. That's my lens for everything is joy. So I've been a counselor for the last 19 years and at Enterprise Middle School since it opened. So I'm a diehard middle school person, love that work. And I get a chance to do blogging, and I actually run 2 different podcasts now. One we just started, my wife and I, so that's been huge. And then really started to get into writing. And it's kind of crazy for me to even use that word author. I heard Chad and Megan use that word yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that a real word in my vocabulary? And yeah, it is. So it's a huge, huge moment for me.
Okay. Award-winning culture. The book of the year is coming out on Friday, May 22nd. This date will go down in history in your life as like, oh my goodness, your first book came out. You're publishing with EduGladiators, which is an outstanding publishing team. And we want to hear all about it. This live is going to be spilling all the secrets. I have so many questions for you about the book, but just in general, if they didn't catch the live with Chad and Megan, who kind of got to talk about the book yesterday, from the author's mouth himself, what is this book about on Friday that we are all eager to go pre-order?
Okay, by the way, they did an amazing job yesterday. Like, I wanted to go out and buy the book. I was like, wow, these guys are incredible. Yeah. Award-winning culture. It's on pre-sale right now, but it'll be live, obviously, on Friday. I have to start off, I guess, and tell you, Ray, kind of where it all started. Because I knew, we were doing some special things at our school maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. But I think the idea for this book really started just a couple years ago, probably about 2.5 years ago. And I'll tell you a story. I had a local news station reach out to me to do a story at our school. They had heard about some of the things we were doing with school culture. They wanted to do kind of like an anti-bullying, piece. And so the manager said he was going to send out a reporter, and she'd be there for, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, do a couple interviews. And then she had to get to another story across town. And I was like, cool, sounds great. And so probably maybe 30 minutes before school started, she arrives and she's instantly struck by what we call our Wildcat Nation morning greeting. And because Ray, you and I have talked about this, we start every day at school with basically high fives and fist bumps and music. And it's just this incredible place to be, right? So we try to make it really special as students and staff enter. So everybody feels connected to, we're using names and smiles, and it's just this awesome space. And she's struck by all of this, and she starts talking to different people and wanting to learn more about what's going on in our school. And the more people she talked to, the more people she wanted to talk to. And the more people that she wanted to talk to, the more places she started to see around the school. And pretty soon, Ray, what started off as a 30 to 45 minute interview ended up stretching for over 3 hours. We couldn't get rid of her. Like, she was just hanging out and having a great time. She went and hung out with one of our leadership classes. She went to the lunchroom. She spent time in the gym and in the locker room. She just wanted to see everything that was happening. And we're sitting there, and it's near the end of this interview, and it's myself, it's my principal, and it's this news reporter. And we're sitting in my principal's office, and we're just kind of debriefing, and we're just, kind of trying to wrap things up because honestly, my principal had a meeting to get to. I had some other things to do. We didn't know it was going to last, obviously 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this reporter bursts into tears. And I mean, like, Ray, full on ugly cry, right? And she's like, why isn't everybody doing these things? Mm-hmm. And my principal goes and kind of reaches for a tissue. And, I started mumbling something about, hey, that's why you're here. So you can help tell the story and share our message with other people. And I'm sure I said some other things, Ray, but I was just like totally dumbfounded. Like we weren't expecting tears in this moment. And she gets really quiet and like really still. And it's like kind of eerie. And again, my principal and I sort of make eye contact across the room and as if to say, uh-oh, now what's going to happen, right? And she gets really like she's looking down and she gets really quiet and she starts lifting her head up and she kind of wipes some tears away and she makes direct eye contact with me. And she says, why wasn't it this way when I was in school? And I mean, just telling you right now, Ray, it takes me right back to that moment because really for the next 15 minutes, she regaled us with stories of mean girls and disinterested educators and the trials and tribulations of surviving middle school. And that's when it really struck me, like, these are not tears of sadness. These are tears of joy. Mm-hmm. And so, we kind of shifted back towards laughter and she went on to do the rest of her day and everything. And we thought, that's it. That's the end of the story, right? But the cool part is the story continued. So she left. She took off from little old Tri-Cities. That's our town. That's where we live. And now she lives in a big news market down in Southern California. She's a big shot, but she stayed in contact with us. And so from time to time, she will reach out and say, how's Wildcat Nation? You guys still doing that character work? How's it going down there? It's actually up there, but that's what she says. So this work matters. And I think that day I realized, other people need to know this story. Like other people need to hear what's going on at our school. We can't just keep this like to ourselves. And so I don't know if I can say that I knew I was going to write a book that day, but I knew somehow I had to start sharing the things that we were doing at our school.
Yeah. And you've done such a great job, Hans, I'm sure since that point, but just even since I've been connected to you, you are constantly sharing, like whether it be the podcast or blogs or just speaking engagements, you are constantly trying to share this story, which is why the book just, I assume in some sense just fell into place because so many people need to be hearing about this work because it's so important that of course a book is an amazing option. And you know what? You tell more than just that story in this book. Let me tell you.
I do. I really bare my soul in this. I mean, it was about a 2-year project. And, there's strategies, there's practical advice, there's all kinds of things that people can implement like right away, like day one. But there's also just a lot of like personal stuff that I share in this. Like you really get to know me on a personal level and kind of what has helped drive some of the things that we've done in our building. I think, you make a great point too. Like, we all have a story to share, you know what I mean? And I think that's what you guys are doing a lot with like the Teach Better Talk podcast. You're giving people that platform. And I think what I realized a couple of years ago is we need to share our story. Not only do I need to share my specific story, but we as a school really need to share what's working. Because there's a lot of amazing things happening in schools all over the world.
Sure. But this is, what I really loved about your book, because I did get to preview it, because I really appreciate you giving me a sneak peek, is that you really get two different takeaways as an educator. You not only get, if it's late at night and you flip through a few chapters, you're going to get something you can literally go do tomorrow with your students. But you also get this mindset shift, which is so much larger. And so I think that balance is really hard to put into a book. And I know many books that have not provided that same balance, but this one specifically is something that I could recommend to every educator, whether they're in the classroom, whether they're an assistant, whether they're a principal, superintendent, no matter where you are, you have something that you can not only take away tomorrow, but also something that truly might shift your mindset as an educator. And I think that that could not have been easy for you to put into words in this book. It's incredible, the impact.
You've hit right on the goal, because I think most of the literature on school culture and climate focus on one person, and that's the school leader, right? The building leader. It's really about, what does the principal do to impact school culture? And don't get me wrong, the principal has a huge impact. We know that.
Sure.
But so does everybody else in the school. So do the teachers, the counselor, the psych, the parents. And here's the other thing that is often overlooked, the students. And the students play a huge role in my book. I mean, I have, an entire section devoted to how to empower students, right? Like, because they're everything. None of this work matters if we're not doing it to create joyful learning experiences for them.
All right. So Award-Winning Culture is the book title. You can pre-order it. I put the link on there, but you can also just go to Amazon and find it. You can get it as a Kindle version, or you can get the actual physical book, which will actually launch this Friday, May 22nd. Can you give us an idea? Because you really structured the book beautifully. How did you, if I opened it up, like what is the structure of the book? What can I expect as a reader?
There's basically 4 sections. The first 3 sections are 3 big pillars. So character, excellence, and community. And so each of those pillars is kind of a big question. So character is, will you do the right thing? Excellence being, will you do your very best? And community being, what will you do for others today? And so each of those topics are kind of broken down into their acronyms, and we, go into a whole lot of detail as far as how do you actually build a character within a school? How do you strive for excellence, right? And how are you building an entire community that's kind of focused in one direction? So those are kind of the first 3 sections. The last section, section 4, is what I call cultural maximizers. So these are the things that really get underneath all those other 3 pillars and sort of support those things, right? So it's ideas like vulnerability and gratitude, and the way that we interact, the communication skills that we use, dealing with students that return. It's how you, train yourself, like through professional development, all those little things that really get underneath.
And that, I think that's really important, because this isn't, you kind of alluded to this before, there's plenty of culture books out there that can give you this top level, hey, everyone should love being at school. But really, what are the strategies I can put in place? What are the questions I can challenge my whole community with? And what are some activities we can do to really foster this being instilled in our classrooms, in our schools, the whole year long? And so I think that this book really is almost like a guide to accomplishing that. And it's not just something you're going to read for your August kickoff and then put away on the shelf, but really something you should continue to refer back to, continue to pull strategies from. In my mind, I mean, I don't mean to like butter you up, but truly, I think this is kind of like the go-to text in my classroom that I'm going to go to figure out, what do I want to try to accomplish and how am I going to get there? And I think a lot of educators are going to feel that way.
That's amazing to hear. I really designed it to be a book study. Like, it's not a book that, like I said, just one person would read and it's like, okay, that's it. It's really designed to bring people together. Like there's, and since you've already seen it, there's like parts of this book that are going to challenge you. They're going to push your buttons and go, I don't know if I agree with him. I don't know if I like that. I don't know how that makes me feel. And I think that's what great books do. I think if we're just nodding and going, yep, we all know all this, it's not a really impactful book. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 1,000%. And I want to touch on a little bit more of the book study idea, because you can pre-order this book right now. We're also going to talk about a giveaway in just a few minutes. So maybe you could get your pre-order and then also get a signed copy in a different way as well. But Hans, tell me a little bit about, okay, I get this book. Maybe I don't want to read it by myself. Like, what are my options in terms of getting this book and really wanting it to change the school that I'm in?
Yeah, so we've already set up a Teachable that you can go on and do like, a separate independent book study. And we've already started having talks with people about doing a live book study as well. So I think that would be a lot of fun if we can get kind of a community going. Maybe it's on Facebook or Instagram, or maybe we stream in several different spots. But I think that would be amazing. So I think, yeah, I'd love to see it happening in kind of 2 different realms.
Well, and that really offers two different types of communities to engage as well. If you're an educator and you got a hold of this book and maybe your friend down the street doesn't want to read it with you, that doesn't mean that you can't have a collaborative partner, collaborative team to explore and question these new strategies. Connect online with your PLN and let's do a virtual book study. I love it. Or the other sense, if I have like 10 members of my school community that knows they want to implement and work on this book, well, wonderful. I'm going to go on my own and at my own pace and go through a book study that's going to be able to facilitate the conversation that way. So I think you're really hitting on two different groups, and who knows, they might overlap a little bit.
Exactly. That'd be so fun.
So where can we find out more about the book study specifically? Because I know that we have other things we want to talk about, but I do want to make sure, the book's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, but where can I find the book study stuff? That's not on Amazon, I assume.
Yeah. So if you go to awardwinningculture.com, that's our website. That has everything. It has all information about the book. You can buy signed copies there, but also all the book study info. So we're excited.
Perfect. Awardwinningculture.com. That's easy to remember because it's the title of the book, people.
Exactly.
I love it.
Make it simple.
Make it simple. So you are, Hans, an extremely generous person in general, but what I'm very excited to celebrate is that you are giving away 5 copies of this book, which is extremely generous. And any educator who might be watching right now or wants to participate has the opportunity to win. I mean, right now we're streaming on 2 different places in Facebook and on YouTube and on Twitter. And we're sharing all this out on not only those platforms, but other platforms like Instagram and other things too, trying to get the word out that teachers have the opportunity to win a copy of your book. So do you want to tell us how we can do that?
Absolutely. So here's the question that I want people to kind of respond to all over social media is, how does whole child education foster joy? And so I'll repeat that. How does whole child education foster joy? And so we're going to use the hashtags Teach Better and hashtag award-winning culture. And we're going to choose 5 winners. And I'm even going to, because I heard them talking a little bit yesterday, Chad and Megan were talking about it. I'm going to give people a little bit of insight as to what even this could look like. So when we think in terms of joy, there's a lot. I like this question because it's really open-ended.
Very open-ended.
Because the reality is there's joy for students, right? If we create these incredible learning spaces, but there's also educator joy as well. And so I think, that gets lost a lot of times. We focus everything on sometimes students and we forget that we want to come to incredible places to work, right? We want to run to work and feel great about coming to work. So I think when we focus on the whole child, we get that. And so there's a lot of different directions you can go with this question. We chose obviously the word joy as opposed to happiness or something else that's like a temporary state of, feeling. Things like ice cream cones make me happy, but joy is something bigger, right? It's more driven around purpose and meaning. So I really want to get people kind of expanding their thinking as far as what it means to reach the whole child.
I love that. Will you repeat the question one more time? Because I want everyone to make sure they hear it. Feel free to jot it down. I know I've been thinking about my answer for the past few days. Share their answer whenever they're ready, right? So if they want to.
Absolutely. Anytime during the week.
Anytime during the week before Friday morning. That's what we're asking. So what's the question one more time for everyone? How
does whole child education foster joy? And so you've got all week to be thinking about it, answering it. You can put as many answers as you want, post as many times as you want to do.
And make sure you use the hashtag Teach Better and the hashtag award-winning culture, because that's how we are going to select the winners for that 5-book giveaway. It's crazy. And
we're going to pick them right on Friday morning at the daily drop-in.
The daily drop-in. So Hans, we are so excited. When the Teach Better team started the daily drop-in, we didn't know when we were going to end. And as we were trying to find the right way to kind of have a finale for the fact that the team has been live every single morning, Monday through Friday, since COVID-19 had really started impacting the U.S., this was the best way to end it. So our last daily drop-in is going to be with you. And actually myself, I'm so excited to be a part of it. And Jeff Gargis is joining us. And we are going to be streaming on all these platforms again, Friday morning at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. And we are going to announce the 5-book giveaway to educators and talk shop about the book. I mean, I'm just so there's no better way to end our Daily Drop-In finale. It is truly a finale.
It's going to be a party. Let's just be honest.
I think that the day your book launches is something you never forget. And I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. I do want to talk a little bit more about award-winning culture as a whole in a minute, but this book has just been something I know you've poured your heart and soul in. And I really truly feel like Friday morning, we need to find a confetti machine and just like celebrate, like truly like it's the biggest celebration on the planet, because this is so exciting that educators finally get to have the book in their hands.
I'm excited. I'm so pumped. I cannot wait.
I love it. So award-winning culture coming out this Friday, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Of course, you can do your best to win one of the 5 book giveaways, but also don't forget, you can just pre-order it right now. I love Chad and Megan joked about yesterday that if you pre-order it now and you get another copy because you also won, then you can gift it to a friend, which is so generous. So feel free to go do that. But Hans, award-winning culture is more than a book. And it's more than a book study. So can you tell them other resources that they also have the opportunity to explore if they want to really not only, be a book reader, but also encompass award-winning culture as they move forward?
Yeah. And it's certainly more than me. My wife and I have really created this company around it, and it's our brand is award-winning culture. So, we're creating fresh, original content. Obviously, there's writing projects. She's actually working on 2 different books at the same time. She's got a children's book coming out. I'm probably going to get in trouble for announcing that, but that's okay.
We won't tell.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. Nobody's going to see this, right?
Nobody.
And then she's got another adult book that's amazing that's coming out that's all geared around award-winning culture. We started a podcast that's focusing on the whole child. And it's featured over on the Teach Better podcast network as well. So that's amazing. And then we're doing a lot of speaking. That's been a huge thing over the last couple of years, is getting out and helping other educators create these amazing cultures in their own schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And I that's kind of how we started getting connected to you, because we kept hearing about this, power couple, the Appels, Hans and Jennifer, doing amazing things with culture. We're like, these guys are the coolest people ever. And then, of course, you joined our speakers network. You're now a wonderful family member on the Teach Better team, doing culture things on the team, because you're just such experts. And I'm so glad that the podcast only came out, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it just launched. It just launched.
Launched 10 episodes. So people have really been able to, kind of learn about you guys just as people, but also just hearing so much stinking good insight. And new episodes come out every Sunday. So there's already been an 11th episode that's published. And then this weekend, I'm sure we'll see the 12th. So I've loved the podcast so far. I hope everybody goes to subscribe to that as well.
It's definitely unique because we're not doing interviews like a lot of other podcasts. It's really just Jen and I talking. And, we sometimes get into discussions and little arguments and all kinds of stuff. We do kind of, Ray, we do like a family walk with our dog. And we tried to sort of model our conversation after that, because we would have these intense discussions about, pedagogy and, educational theory and stuff that was happening in our own school. And we're like, hey, maybe somebody else would want to hear this. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I think, again, truly, you both are such strong educators separately that together your conversations are fabulous. And I had heard you describe the podcast was really like as if you're all on a walk, with the puppy. And truly, I was listening to it last week as I was on a walk with my dogs. And I'm like, I feel like we're all together right now. It's so fun to get a lens into your world. And the podcast is great. They're short little episodes. Yeah. They're perfect so I'm so glad you guys are doing that, in addition to the book and the book study, the trainings, the workshops, all the resources, everything award-winning culture. I love it.
It's been a lot of fun. It's fun to have a teammate, right? It's fun to be able to kind of partner with somebody. We work together at school, but then my wife and I, Jennifer, we get to work outside of school as well, and kind of in the same direction as far as impacting kind of the future of the world, right? I mean, that's what we're all doing in education. I think we forget that sometimes, but that's what it's about.
You're 100% correct. Well, I want to make sure that everyone goes and checks out the amazing award-winning culture book and participates in the challenge for the book giveaway. You need to join us Friday morning at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. It's going to be so early for you, Hans. Have you thought about that yet? Are you going to go to bed at like in the afternoon on Thursday so you're ready for Friday morning?
Won't sleep. I just won't sleep. I'll just get up and just stay up. It's no big deal.
So for those of you that don't know, Hans is on Pacific time. So we've been joking that this is like, oh, so early for Central and Eastern time zones. And then I'm like, oh, Hans, it's going to be really early.
Well, to be honest, I wrote this book pretty early in the morning. So I'm used to being up pretty ridiculously early. So it's all good. I'm excited.
I'm so excited for you and so proud of the work you're doing. I'm so honored to just be connected to you, and I cannot wait for this book. If you wanted one big takeaway for everyone listening right now, what do you hope that they, walk away from this live really holding true in terms of award-winning culture?
I would hope that everyone out there knows that they have the power to impact the entire school culture. And I don't think we all think in terms of that. I think sometimes we think in terms of just my office or my classroom or my library space. But the reality is we're all leaders. We are. Like every educator is a leader. And you may not have the title of leader. You may not be a building principal or a superintendent. But I think this book will help you really tap into how you can impact a huge number of students beyond just what the students that you interact with on a daily basis.
I love it. I hope that you all go pre-order the book, but also if you are in a position where you want a bulk order, feel free to reach out to Hans as well. They can connect you to the right people. But absolutely. Hans, I'm so excited for you. We're going to be live tomorrow with Jeff Gargis is going to join you live at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. And I think not only he's going to have more questions for you, but there might be more spoilers coming tomorrow. We are going to celebrate your book on Friday morning with those giveaways and so much more celebration I'm considering this like award-winning culture week in my life. So
hey, that makes two of us. That makes two of us. Sweet.
Red book celebration is a big deal. So congratulations, Hans. We're so excited for you.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here and truly feel connected to be connected to the Teach Better team. You guys are amazing people.
I will give you a sneak peek to let you know if you're joining us tomorrow for our daily drop-in. I will be live and we're going to talk a little bit more about award-winning culture. And then I hope you all join Hans and Jeff tomorrow at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern for a few more book spoilers and a little bit more information on the giveaway. So thank you for everyone who's able to join us. And Hans, we will see you again soon.
Yes. Bye-bye.